Hello everyone and welcome to a video of my humble collection of East German Army field caps, or Feldmütze as it would be in German. Though these hats had at least a couple of nicknames as well. There's the Kepi, which means a cap, I believe, in German. And then you have the more unusual one, which is Schiffchen, if my high school German there was good enough to pronounce it. That would mean like a small boat or ship, which I suppose when you look at the shape of these hats, it sort of makes sense why you would call them boats. But anyway, just some general info about these hats. These were meant for use in barracks or in the field when you were not wearing a helmet, and these are quite similar in overall shape to the field caps that were used in World War II, as we'll see when we go over these. Like, there were some changes to these hats where you can tell which is more earlier, which is the later one, and the earlier ones here are more similar to the World War II hats. And all of my hats here have this East German coat of arms in the front, but the very early hats for the East German Army, they had the roundel in the front, which would have like the black, red, yellow roundel instead of this East German coat of arms. And also at the very end, when the two Germanys were about to reunite, I believe they made some of these hats with the same roundel as the Bundeswehr on the front. I think those were produced in 1990 only, just before the final end of East Germany. But how about we get started? So some of these are not that unusual or exciting, but there are a couple of interesting examples here, I believe. And these are in no particular order. Just thought, like, let's start from one of the more common ones. So, and all of these ones for conscripts are made from this wool felt material, and one for the officers are made from a bit nicer, I think you call it gabardine material, but yeah, this one is a later example. You can tell the later ones from the fact that this fold here has been sewn onto the main body of the hat, which is a bit of a not maybe the smartest decision in my opinion, because then you are making this hat quite unusable in cold weather, because the point of not having this sewn on was that you could fold this down in cold weather and protect your ears with this part of the hat. But now it's sewn onto here, so this means it's pretty much only for summer use. And well, the East German Army did have the quite Russian style fur cap or fur hat to be used then in winter, so maybe that's why. But yeah, it's quite simple hat overall, made from some kind of maybe mixture of wool and some other materials. And we do have a stamp here, and I believe this hat is completely unused because, well, the stamp is so clear, and this name tag here is still completely white, so I don't think this has ever been worn. And yeah, then we get the stamp, which is nice and legible here. So we have NVA, Nationale Volksarmee, National People's Army. Then we have 1856, which is the manufacturer's code in this case, and that would be VEB Perfect, or VEB Perfect in Berlin. The VEB stands for Volkseigener Betrieb, which is like basically a state-owned company. The East Germans want you to believe it's owned by the people, but well, it was really owned by the state. Anyway, there were plenty of companies like that in East Germany, since there wasn't really any private enterprise. Anyway, so yeah, 1856 is the code for that. Then we have the letter C in here, which is the year code. So date of production, well, not date, but the year of production. And C is 1983 in this case. There is like a list available on the internet for what those codes are, and codes start to be used in from 1968 onward. Sometimes you can see still like just a year stamping even after that, from 1968 afterwards, but it's quite rare, and usually you have this letter for the year code. Then we have 60, which is the size of the hat. So this is quite a large size, which is nice, since larger sizes are quite hard to find nowadays. And then we have what it seems like is 161, and that looks a bit like a 9 or a small G, but I'm not sure, and I'm not actually sure what this means here, nor do I know what this 29 in the box means. So if you know, please let me know in the comments. So yeah, that's the one for conscript soldiers from later on in the 80s. And here we have basically the same, but in used conditions, so it's quite a bit more washed out, and these seams in here are quite discolored and almost white instead of the dark gray that they were before. And yeah, this is a later one as well, since this fold has been sewn on. And I have to look beside the camera to see. Yeah, you can see here this name tag here is very dirty and gross, so someone has definitely been wearing this one in the field. Yeah, this seems to be there's some kind of green coloration in here. Maybe that's some kind of someone's personal marking, or what used to be on the hat. It's very like almost neon green, so I don't think it's like, hopefully, mold or anything like that. So then we get to the officer's field cap, which is a lot nicer gabardine style material instead of the wool felt. And this is a later one as well, since the fold has been sewn on, and would seem to be unused since it's in very nice condition, and the tag here is completely white. And we have, if my camera would focus, yes, we have NVA 1856 N, and the N in this case is 1989. And if you have collected East German stuff, then you have probably encountered quite a bit of stuff with the N code 1989, since it's one of the most common ones. Makes sense that a lot of the stuff that's still left is the stuff that was made just before the end and never got to be issued to anyone, so that's why there's plenty of 1989 stuff. And we have 59 for the size, so it's a bit bigger size as well. Sorry for the small switch there, I had to charge my camera battery a bit. And during that little time off, I remembered one thing I forgot to mention, that on the very early hats you could have like a color band, or like a colored line going here, zoom on here, for the like the branch that you were serving on. So for example, the police, Volkspolizei, had a green stripe going on here, and the armored corps would have like a pink line going on here. But yeah, I think those were gotten rid of in early 60s or late 50s even, maybe. But yeah, don't have any of those. Maybe the police had them a bit longer, but I'm not sure. I don't have any Volkspolizei hats, unfortunately. But yeah, we have here basically the same hat as the previous one, except this one is used, so another officer's late model hat. Zoom on here, and there's a bit of dirt in here, which is unfortunate. But well, this hat is used anyway. You can see the seams, or the where this thing is put together. The cord has faded up to almost white again. The color overall is more faded, so it's been used and washed. Though this tag here is in quite good condition, even looking past the camera here. Just a tiny bit of yellow color discoloration at the end there, but otherwise it's actually in quite good condition. And we have just the last remnants of a stamp. It's an NVA, and it would look a bit like it's 57 next to it, but then all the rest is quite illegible. Difficult word for my Finnish mouth. And then we have another late conscript soldier's hat. Nothing special on the outside, but I believe we have a nice stamp here. Yes, we have NVA 1856 L and size 60. And again, this number in a square, 32 in this case. If you know what this is, let me know. I would be interested to know. Is this some kind of quality inspection stamp or something like that? But yeah, this year code L is interesting, because this L letter was used twice. So it was used for 1973 and 1987. But in this case, I'm quite certain it's 1987, since this is a late hat and soon on, so 95% sure this is 1987 hat. And then we have an used conscript soldier's hat. Seems very tall, but it's because, yeah, it's been worn, so the hat itself has like folded a third time on its own, so that's why it looks taller than the others. It's quite a small size. Don't think I could ever wear this myself in my big head, but we do actually have a stamp here still. This name tag is quite good, in quite good condition, so I wonder, is this actually used? If it is, it's been very gently used, since the stamp and everything is so neat still. So I have to look past the camera a bit to make sure. So yeah, we have NVA 1856 C, which is 1983, just checking my notes there. And that would seem like either 55 or 56 for the size. So yeah, this is definitely going for sale at some point because I don't really need this one. Well, all of these are probably gonna go for sale because I unfortunately have to get rid of my collection since I don't really have space to store it anymore. Then we have one of the odd ones out. This is a Kampfgruppen hat. So if you don't know what the Kampfgruppen, it's basically like a paramilitary organization inside the East German state. The people selected there were like party members and basically true communists who were then to be used, well, to fight the enemies of the state, which would, I guess, in a grand scheme be NATO or whatever invasion they were scaring people about, but in practice they were more commonly used to suppress riots and civil unrest and whatnot. If you have seen pictures from the Berlin Wall when it was being constructed, it was mostly the Kampfgruppen, or you will see plenty of pictures of Kampfgruppen. There's also the border guards, the Grenztruppen, who appear in the pictures, but there's plenty of pictures of Kampfgruppen members protecting the wall as it's been built. And yeah, Kampfgruppen were wearing this olive colored canvas uniform, and the hat is made of similar materials, so it's olive cotton fabric instead of the wool felt or gabardine of the NVA. And the Kampfgruppen were part of, or where they were under the Ministry of the Interior, so MDI, Ministerium der Innen, I believe in German, if my pronunciation is even half correct there. And unfortunately, I have actually worn this hat, I think, in some airsoft events many years ago, and that's why the stamp is quite worn out. This is still, you can still maybe make out the 61 size stamp from here. And there's an M, and maybe what's left of the D, so yeah, there was an MDI stamp here for the Interior Ministry. Yeah, larger size hat, and it was in a completely unissued condition when I got it, but yeah, I wore it a couple of times and probably washed it once, so now it's not so neat anymore, unfortunately. Then we have yet another conscript soldier's late hat in a very neat condition, sort of going through this quickly since there's not so much new. Completely unused look inside, and nice stamp which looks a bit different, just like the form, but it's NVA 1856, and that looks like a T, which would be 1985. And 117, is that some, not sure what that first character is, maybe I, or I don't know. And then we have, checking past the camera again, just to make sure. I believe it's 53 inside the square. Yeah, size 58, so it's a bit on the bigger side. And then we have probably the most standout hat from the group, since it's blue, and this is Volksmarine officer's hat, so Volksmarine being the navy of East Germany. The navy was quite a smaller element in the East German military, since the coastal area of East Germany was quite small. So I think Volksmarine had maybe like 13,000 personnel at its peak, maybe a bit more, compared to the army, which had like I don't know, over 100,000, well over 100,000 people. Yeah, this, you can see the color stripe that I was talking about earlier, so this Volksmarine hat still has it, golden one in this case for the officers. and it's kind of a gabardine somewhat similar gabardine fabric as the army one, but yeah, I think it's the same material. It's just the color is making it looks very different in look, but similar coat of arms. And we have a very neat stamp in white color this time. So NVA 59 for the size and 1856 again. Manufacturer's mark, so made by VEB Perfect in Berlin. And L again for the year code, so 1987, quite certainly, because quite sure of it because it's sewn on, so this is a later hat. Then we get to the more older hat, two of the older hats that I have. Well, I have just these two really, but so I was talking all the time about the seam being sewn on, and here it's not. So this is the way you can distinguish the earlier hats from the later ones. The earlier hats with the East German coat of arms. So yeah, this folds down like all the way. Though I do believe that you were not really allowed to fold this down in, even if it was cold, you were supposed to wear the felt hat, because I have never seen anyone actually in the pictures folding this down. So it does look quite goofy when you do that. So, but yeah, it's also the hat looks a bit different on the head when it's worn, since this spread out more. So you can also usually tell if it's an early hat or a later hat when someone is wearing it, because the early hats sort of spread out like this when it's being worn. And the material itself is it's a felt as well, but it's quite different. If I can get out one of the later ones here, so you can see this one on the right is definitely more greenish color, and the material is much more wool-like on the right one. They actually also, yeah, the left one doesn't really smell like much, but the one on the right, it smells like your grandma's closet. Like, it's not a very pleasant smell, but it's not the worst one either. Luckily, none of these smell like the usual East German equipment poison smell that if you collect like East German field equipment, you will know that smell like it's awful. Yeah, fortunately none of these hats have that horrible scent. This actually this Strichtan tent cover does have that smell, so hopefully this table underneath doesn't smell like it after I finish with these videos. But yeah, getting finally back to this earlier hat. So we have a nice clear stamp, NVA 1856, that's the same as before, but we have 70, which I'm quite sure is the year, in this case, so 1970. I talked about earlier that they still mark the year in numbers even after the letter system was implemented for the markings. So yeah, 1970 in this case. It would be M letter if it was using the letter code. Then we have 266, so wonder what that means. Could it be 26th of June, or maybe it's something completely else? Let me know in the comments if you have knowledge of that. And we have 57 for size, so it's a bit smaller size hat. The inside fabric, I think it's a bit different, yes, like the one on the right is like more denser cotton fabric. Like overall these earlier pieces of East German clothing, they are more nicer and more better quality, since it wasn't such like a mass production at that point. Later on, when they had so much people and less money, they just had to cut down on the costs. And then we have probably the nicest and rarest one. So we have an officer's hat in the gabardine fabric, and look at that, it isn't sewn on. So this is an early one. You can maybe already tell that's a larger size. And yes, this side this time we have a nice clear stamp NVA 1856, a bit different font, like this bit bigger size and very black color, 1962. So this is, yeah, quite an early one, just a year after they had put up the Berlin Wall. Unfortunately there's like a small, I don't know if that's some kind of scratch or something, like bit of just tiny bit of damage, but it's quite hard to notice. But overall this hat is in really nice condition. It's definitely the most valuable of these hats that I have. Yeah. And yeah, of course it's valuable because it's size 60. So, well, the year 1962 and it's larger size, so yeah, hats like this are quite rare to find. And about the story of how I managed to get these hats, like I had, yeah, maybe yeah, this one, and which other one? I believe these two I just bought from Varustellega here in Finland, a web store that sells military stuff. They were around already like 20 years ago, but yeah, I bought these in maybe 2005, 6, something like that, for airsoft stuff. And I believe then all the rest of these, definitely these early ones and the Volksmarine one and the officers ones, and the used ones. I wonder where I got this one from. Was it in the set as well? But anyway, I basically got this from the treasure chest of East German stuff, so that is German eBay. And there was just this one offer, or one note, how do you call it, eBay, a bit that had like a bunch of these hats. And I think the first picture in the announcement was maybe just one of these, like not the very interesting hats, but then I opened it and I saw one of the later pictures and it had these stamps from the earlier hats, and then I know like, oh, I should definitely bid on that. And yeah, I was lucky because I don't think many people noticed that one, and so I got this set for quite a small amount of money. So yeah, definitely one of the nice eBay finds I have managed to grab when I was collecting this stuff for about, well, more than 10 years ago now. And as a special for sticking until the end of the video, I have a bit of a bonus for you. So here's the hat that was supposed to replace the field caps. So this is the UTV system baseball cap. UTV, of course, being one of the biggest mysteries of East German collecting, like the system that was produced quite a bit, in quite a big numbers at the end of the existence of DDR, but then never really issued. There's only just a couple of images of this hat in use. I believe it was like an exercise just before DDR came to its end. But anyway, yeah, this hat is quite crude in its construction. We have this rubber band here at the back to tighten it around your head, and the production quality is a bit sloppy, to say the least. Like this visor, or how do you call this, like it's not very well sewn on, like it's not sewn on correctly from here. It's like bending itself, and overall it's quite cheapish quality. But this is a bit incomplete, since you're actually supposed to sew on a rank badge here at the front, like an oval shaped rank badge, similar system as the one that was used on the left sleeve of the UTV field uniform, or Strichtan uniform. The cap itself just has a few pieces sewn together. You have a couple of ventilation holes on the sides, and on the inside it's quite similar cotton fabric as the field caps. And we have a stamp here. So NVA 1856P, and the 3, Roman numeral 3 in this case, indicates the size. These were produced in 4 different sizes, so 1 to 4. So this would be the second biggest size. Fits about maybe size 58, 59 maybe. This hat is a bit too small for me. I wear a hat size 60. So yeah, and we have the same producer's stamp, so 1856 VEB Perfect in Berlin. And we have the year code P, which in this case is 1986, and I believe that's the first year that these UTV uniforms were produced. If you know that there's 1985 marked items, please let me know in the comments, but yeah, I haven't seen those myself at least yet. Yeah. Thank you very much for watching the video. Please leave a like and subscribe. This is a brand new channel, so every contribution makes a big help for a channel that has just started like this one. Thanks for watching, and I will see you on the next video.